This is my prediction video for UFC on Fox 23, Shevchenko versus Pena. I'll be predicting and covering the final 3 fights of the night. Let's start off with Andrei Arlovski versus Francis Ngannou. I cannot wait for this fight because finally we have a heavyweight prospect. It's been so long. It's been such a long time. It's been such a long time since we had a younger heavyweight prospect. I mean, he's not young in age, in real age, but he's young in fighting age, in fighting years. He hasn't had that many fights compared to who he's fighting. He's fighting Andrei Arlovski, who almost has 40 fights. It's going to be an interesting fight because Francis Ngannou is obviously very strong, very athletic, very big, and very long. He has an 83-inch reach. It's a pretty long reach. That's 1 inch shorter than Stefan Struve, who is 7 feet tall. He seems to be more powerful, and technically he's a better boxer. He's a better striker than Andrei Arlovski, but Arlovski is much more experienced and more mat time, more octagon time. And even though Ngannou has the strength advantage, even though Ngannou has the power, we don't really know where Ngannou's, we don't know where his heart is at. We don't know where his will, his toughness is at. We don't know if he has a good chin. We don't know how he does against pressure. We don't know how he does against a veteran. But here is where I believe Ngannou will have trouble the most. If he does have trouble in this fight, it'll be because of Arlovski's speed. People forget how fast Arlovski actually is. He has very quick hands. His hand speed is up there with some of the top fighters. But Arlovski does have a problem with defense. He doesn't have great striking defense, especially boxing defense. And Ngannou's strength is boxing, mostly boxing. That's where he gets most of his knockouts. That's where it looks like he feels most comfortable in the boxing ring. And when Arlovski throws punches and when he's throwing combinations, when he's going forward, he tends to keep his head straight up and he gets caught. And if Arlovski gets caught, he's most likely going to go down against heavyweights and against a guy like Ngannou. Okay, he's not just a heavyweight. Ngannou's a strong heavyweight. He's a powerful heavyweight. If the fight goes on the ground, Arlovski might have the advantage, but people should not sleep on Ngannou because Ngannou, he's not the most technical grappler. He's very powerful though. He's very strong. He's a very powerful grappler if he goes that route. Like in his last fight, when he tapped out Anthony Hamilton, he grabbed him with a Kimura against the cage, and he just powered right through it. And he tried hard to defend that Kimura, but he just couldn't. It's going to be tough for Arlovski, and people should not underestimate Arlovski though, because Arlovski's career has been very unpredictable. So, and also his hand speed. I predict if Arlovski does win, or the way he'll get Ngannou in trouble is because of his hand speed. I predict Francis Ngannou finishes the fight, and he could finish it in the first, but I think he'll finish it most likely in the second round. I think he might finish it in the second round, but I could see him absolutely finishing in the first due to strikes. For the next fight, Donald Cerrone versus Jorge Masvidal. I cannot wait for this fight too. This is a very good. These last 3 fights are very good. They're very good fights. Cerrone versus Masvidal is almost a guaranteed scrap, and if it's not, I'll be very disappointed. If it's not, I'll be very shocked. This fight is kind of hard to choose. So how I see this fight and how I break down what the difference is between the opponents. Masvidal is he's like a boxer, and he's also he's pretty good with his wrestling, but he's mostly a boxer. He likes to stand. He's a defensive boxer usually. He's usually a defensive boxer. Besides the last fight, because he wanted to prove a point, he's a very good defensive boxer. That is one of the reasons why he loses some of his split decisions, because he's a little too defensive and he doesn't put out too much output. And we have seen Donald Cerrone have a tough time against boxers. As we've seen with Nate Diaz, even though that fight was a long time ago, Cerrone had a very tough time with the boxing. He has a tough time with output. But Cerrone has gotten much, much better. He has gotten much better since then. Even in his boxing. Now he's throwing more hands. He's more comfortable. He's throwing combinations on the ground. The ground's a little unpredictable in this fight because Masvidal hasn't really used his wrestling lately, but we have seen in the past he's very good with his wrestling. Cerrone is very underrated on the ground. He is amazing on the ground, especially off his back. Off his back, he's very dangerous. He goes for submissions instantly. Once his back hits the ground, he's going for submissions. He usually goes for the omoplata, though. That's his go-to submission. That's his go-to position. So this fight's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a good fight. It's going to be very entertaining. So what I see is, early on in the fight, I do see Jorge Masvidal getting the advantage over Cerrone. I do see him winning the early rounds, maybe the first round, and I see Jorge Masvidal going in strong in the first round. If Masvidal wins this fight, it will most likely be in the first round. But after the first round, I think Cerrone might take control of the fight. I think he will start using his kicks, especially his leg kicks and his body kicks, because Masvidal doesn't really respond too well to leg kicks. Cerrone has some hard leg kicks. He has hard kicks everywhere, so this will be a tough fight for Masvidal. Okay, I see Masvidal winning the first round. I do see him winning the first round. I see him gain the advantage early. But then I see Cerrone taking control of the fight in the second round. If the fight does not go to a finish, I see Cerrone winning the decision. I see Cerrone winning this fight, either a late stoppage or a decision. The stoppage is most likely going to come from body kicks, leg kicks, or a submission on the ground, maybe a guillotine or a triangle. Now the main event. It's a very tough fight for me to call. For this prediction, no one can hold me to this prediction. I mean, I really, it's almost 50-50 for me. Okay, with this fight, everybody's saying it's a grappler versus striker match. It's the wrestler with the jiu-jitsu versus the Muay Thai fighter. It's way more complex than that. There's more details than just that. I mean, this is not a striker versus grappler and that's it. This is a grappler with not technical but effective striking. It's not technical though. It's effective in her past it's been effective. Versus a Muay Thai fighter, yes, she is a Muay Thai fighter. But people underestimate Shevchenko's grappling. She's actually a good grappler. She's not helpless on the ground. People throwing out the grappler versus striker thing, they make it seem like if it's on the feet, Shevchenko won automatically. If it goes on the ground, Pena won automatically. No, that's not how it is. I mean, that's not how this fight is. I think Shevchenko is a much more well-rounded fighter. She has much better striking than Pena's, much better in almost every aspect. And Pena does have better grappling, but Shevchenko is not going to be helpless in the grappling. She's going to know what she's doing too. She knows what she's doing on the ground. Obviously, she won't be as good, but she can create some opportunities in there because they're both not one-dimensional. Shevchenko is more well-rounded though. She is much more well-rounded. We've seen even when she fought Amanda Nunes, she was able to hang with Amanda Nunes on the ground, especially in the third round. She was able to dominate Sarah Kaufman on the ground. Shevchenko's not some beginner on the ground. She's not some amateur on the ground, okay? She's pretty good on the ground. She's not Pena's level, but they're different kind of grapplers. Shevchenko's obviously going to use her grappling to get to the feet, and I think she'll be able to do that at times. But Pena is very strong on the ground. She was able to outmaneuver and outposition Kat Zingano. Let me go to Juliana Pena first. Juliana Pena is, generally speaking, she's a tough, strong wrestler with very technical and very fundamental Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's very good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but her strength is her wrestling. But before she can get to the wrestling, she's going to have to deal on the feet. What does Pena usually do when she's standing? When she's striking? So usually to past opponents, Juliana Pena will go forward and she will storm with punches. She'll kind of tuck her head in. It looks like sometimes she's not even looking at her opponent. She tucks her head in, tucks her chin in. Her arms get flared out. Fundamentally, basically, strikers usually frown on that. So that's what she does. She flares out her elbows, starts throwing punches. She throws a barrage. It's chaotic. And even that kind of tactic, even that kind of style can give even the most experienced strikers problems. Because it's so unorthodox. It's so unpredictable. Established and elite strikers do not come across that hardly ever. They usually fight other skilled strikers who fight similar to the way they do, especially come from Shevchenko's world. So Shevchenko comes from elite, world-class Muay Thai fighting. I highly doubt she has never come across someone who will tuck her chin in and start throwing punches non-stop until she can get close to get the takedown. Pena's game plan usually is to tuck her chin in, flare out her elbows, and throw a huge barrage of punches until she gets close enough to get a clinch so she can use her Greco-Roman wrestling and takes down her opponents from there. She's very good with positions. She's very good with keeping positions. She's very strong on top. So she tries to keep her position and she transitions very well. Her timing and her transitions are very good. She tries to get the full mount, usually. The full mount or the back. So she tries to get the most dominant position you can get. And if she gets the full mount, she pretty much does what she does in the feet, but she does it on the ground. If she gets full mount, she's unloading. She's unloading everything she has. So usually when you see her in interviews talk about, oh, I'm gonna break her, or I'm gonna beat her, I'm gonna beat the brakes off her. She really fights like that. She's not just talking trash. She literally does that in her fights. If she gets the back, she instantly tries to go for the rear naked choke, like constantly, until she can get it. Now with Shevchenko is a Muay Thai fighter generally. That's where she wants to be, always in the kicking range. She likes the kicking range. She's a very good counter striker. You've seen it in the Holly Holm fight. That right hook landed every single time Holly Holm tried to blitz in. And Shevchenko is a very small bantamweight, especially compared to Holly Holm. So she was able to catch Holly Holm coming in even though she had a shorter reach. That's how good her timing is, and that's how good her accuracy is. Pena will have a very hard time getting in. Even though Pena is a little bit bigger, she has long arms, she'll have trouble getting in on Shevchenko without getting caught. Another thing you have to notice is her balance. Look at the base, look at her stance, and look at her in the clinch. Very rare will you ever see anyone beat her in the clinch. She's very strong in the clinch. Even with Amanda Nunes, she took Amanda Nunes down. Amanda Nunes would try to trip her, but her balance is so good, her base is so strong on the feet. She was able to defend it and counter Amanda Nunes and trip Amanda Nunes. Even if the fight gets to the clinch, it's going to be interesting to see who will get the advantage. If I would have to guess, I would guess Juliana Pena will have the advantage because she's so ferocious in the clinch. She doesn't stop. Even if she doesn't get the takedown, she's going to keep going for it. She's going to go for another one right after. On the ground, Shevchenko usually wants to get up. She wants to scramble and get up. Usually. One of the biggest attribute differences that will help Shevchenko in this fight is her speed. She is super fast. She might be the fastest fighter in that division. With her technique and her skill and her experience and her timing and her accuracy on the feet, she might be the best striker in the division. Amanda Nunes is up there too. So with all that in mind, the way I see this fight, it's very tough to call. It's very tough to call. I do see Shevchenko most likely winning the fight. I will not be surprised at all if Pena won this fight. I would not be surprised at all. If I have to pick right now, I would have to pick Shevchenko by decision. This fight's most likely going to decision. If it's going to be finished, it'll most likely be because Pena takes her down and just unloads shots until the ref calls it or it gets a submission. So my final predictions are Francis Ngannou by first or second round TKO KO. Donald Cerrone winning most likely by decision, maybe a late stoppage. And then I have Valentina Shevchenko by decision. So that's my prediction, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, because I'm really curious to see what you guys think. I mean, it seems like everyone has the same picks. Valentina Shevchenko, Donald Cerrone, and Francis Ngannou. So I'm really curious to see if anyone disagrees. I'm willing to see if anyone thinks maybe Masvidal might win. Maybe even Arlovski might win. I really want to know what you guys think too. So send your picks in the comment section. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys found this a little interesting. I can't wait to watch the fights. Thank you guys for watching. Send a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you didn't like it. That's okay. So yeah, thank you for watching. And I hope you guys enjoy the fights. Until next video.